Thank you all for this opportunity. We are really excited to share with you. All right, are my slides showing up?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so thank you so much, Talia. So my name is Rachel Murata. My pronouns are she, her, and the statewide performance manager with Results Washington. And we are here to share some of what our team has been working on, the statewide performance management team, behind the scenes, and have a conversation with you all. So we're hoping this will be informal and more of a discussion. We have a few slides to present, and then we'll have some Mentimeter questions for you all, and then we'd love to hear more about what you all are doing. And I think it'll flow really nicely into Sreenath's presentation. I'm really excited to learn about all the great work that they have been doing. So I am joined by Teresa Dew, who you all know and love. She's going to be both behind the scenes and presenting a little bit. So really glad she is so skilled to be able to do that because I could not. Um, and then also I'd like to introduce you all to Ann Althauser and Narissa Lemon. They are our new performance data analysts. They actually, when we started thinking about this presentation, they were not here yet. So I apologize, it's just my name on the agenda, but we are really excited to have them and their amazing skills, and wanted to give them the chance to introduce themselves to you as well. So just a little bit of background on why we are here and why we're presenting to you all today. So as the governor's performance management entity, a big part of our job at Results Washington is integrating performance data into decision-making at the governor's office. That requires us to get good information, to get it in front of those who need it, and to then help ensure it's used. We've done this different ways over the years, and right now we're focused on really trying to work with the state's existing systems and pathways for information instead of building something separate. So we're working with partners who already collect data. And oh, I meant to mention earlier, Alice, I saw that you're here. Especially we've been partnering with the Office of Equity on this work, because our work does intersect so much, and ALIS and their team has been a really fabulous partner. So we are currently focusing on, like I said, working with partners who already collect data and integrating our work into our biennial budget system. And now Narissa is going to share a little bit more about specifically the reporting work.
Hey y'all, my name is Nurse Lemon, pronoun she, hers. So our existing system, Results Through Performance Management, or RPM, was put in place in the early 2000s to meet the requirements in the state law for connecting performance measures to the budget, and it hasn't changed a lot since then, as you might be familiar with it. Many of the performance measures in it are the same when they were created 15 to 20 years ago, even though the work agencies are doing may have changed since then. And some of the measures might not be relevant. We heard from a lot of agencies that they weren't sure how to change the measures, and the system itself isn't as user-friendly as we'd like it to be. Most of the measures that have historically been in RPM track things like caseload, which are often important for budget decisions, but don't give a lot of insight into our progress or barriers towards broader goals. And as the usefulness of these old measures went down, the usage of the RPM system also declined as well. So over the last year, we've asked agencies to start reporting again. Next slide. So just like agency leaders need good information on progress towards goals within each agency, at the enterprise level, data is needed for making informed budget and policy decisions. Data reported should be what is meaningful for decisions, no more, no less, and reported in alignment with when it is available and needed. Data should be used to inform policy, not to punish or reward agencies or programs. In the short term, we are using RPM to accomplish this, but that does not mean we're always going to use the system in the future. So we want to measure progress, access data, and inform policy. We want to do this in a more straightforward way so that reporting isn't a dreaded chore for you. We want to empower you to use your own data. And so to do this, we're updating requirements to meet the legislative and business needs, giving you more power and control to update, report, and change your measures. So you won't be getting measures directly from us. We want you to be in control of your own destiny, your own performance management. To help with this, we're working with WATEC to update RPM to make it easier to use. We've already started work on this. We've removed over 500 measures for programs that no longer exist and data points that are no longer collected, and gotten data entered on 576 measures from 62 agencies that are still collected. RPM is the solution in the short term, but in the long term, we are open to any solution that best supports performance measure reporting. So next, Anne is going to introduce other performance management changes on our team.
Oh, can't hear you, Anne.
Can you?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. Hi, everyone. My name is Anne Althauser. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm really excited to be here and see a lot of old faces and a lot of new faces. So in addition to some exciting and necessary RPM updates, our team is working on improving performance management and measurement a few additional ways. The cartoon on this slide shows runners completing a race and the finish line says just enough, while there is also an additional finish line in the distance that says the extra mile with someone running towards it. Our team is really trying to go that extra mile in performance management, and here's how. First, by publishing a new performance measure guide and working more closely with agencies to update their measures. And Teresa's going to tell us a little bit more about this here shortly. Next, by providing more resources around performance measures. And lastly, by working closely with the governor and the legislature to continue making policy improvements in this arena as a whole. Next slide. So in terms of resources, we want you all to feel like you have what you need in order to excel in performance management. To that end, we're building out a performance measure library where anyone can go to see examples of performance measures from across state agencies. This will help us all learn from one another and save time when we go in to create new measures. We're also working on rolling out a dedicated community of practice where we can hear from subject matter experts, discuss methods for developing measures, learn how others are incorporating measures into decision-making, and provide space for general problem-solving and technical data discussions. So stay tuned about that one as we and everyone knows more. And lastly, we are working on producing some training aids to help teams create measures and update them in the RPM system that Narissa was talking about. So these will serve as on-demand resources and can be used as needed. They will also be helpful in onboarding new folks to the RPM system. Next slide. And then in terms of our policy goals. So our policy goals really revolve around collaboration and minimizing or even eliminating duplication of efforts. The cartoon on this page shows 4 people sitting around a conference table, and it says, all right, stop, collaborate, and listen. And I sincerely apologize for getting a Vanilla Ice song stuck in y'all's head on early Tuesday morning. But overall, we aim to identify opportunities for collaboration and coordination with agencies to help make continued performance improvements. We also hope to support budget and policy discussions with a more thorough evidence base and effectively communicate progress and barriers on some of our biggest challenges as a state. So now I will turn it over to Teresa to talk about the new performance measure guide.
Thank you, Anne. Good morning, everybody. Happy to be on this side of the Zoom for a little bit with y'all today. And I am just grateful to be here to present with my new team. Recently joined the performance management team a few months ago. And as Anne mentioned, we're currently working to assist in the development and reporting of performance measures and creating resources for state agencies to utilize throughout their performance management endeavors. And I'm excited to talk about and reintroduce our revised statewide performance measure guide. This guide was initially created and maintained by the Office of Financial Management, but when Results Washington began operationalizing and administrating the RPM system, the guide came with us. The revised guide was made in partnership and collaboration with OFM, the Governor's Budget and Policy Offices, the Office of Equity, and critical partners that consisted of other affiliate agencies of the Governor's Office, enterprise-facing agencies, and peer commissions. To name a few, we had the Department of Enterprise Services at the table, Washington Technology Services, or WATEC. We had the Office of Regulatory Innovation and Assistance, the LGBTQ Commission, and many, many more. And the main purpose really of the guide is to provide state agencies with information on the importance of performance measures, how to develop measures that can assist agencies with measuring their progress towards meeting their overall mission, vision, and strategic goals. We included some specific criteria to include within a measure set to meet requirements for statewide reporting under current law, and the process that agencies will use to submit, update, and review their measures that are being reported at the statewide level. So on this slide, we've listed a few of our goals, our hopes, and our dreams for the revised guide. That includes ensuring that we're centering the experience of those doing the work. As Narissa mentioned earlier, we want to empower agencies with more control over their reporting and updating their measures. And we know that agencies know their work the best. They have the experience and knowledge on their programs and services. And we also know that each agency has, varying business needs, varying partners, and community members that they serve. So it was really important to us that we emphasize that they have the ability to lead with what information will help them serve their customers best. The new guide is intentionally left open, with that being said, and flexible for each agency to propose measures that work for them. We also wanted to include information on specific measures reported to other agencies to highlight those requirements needed at the statewide level. This will not only help reduce duplicative data being submitted in multiple areas, but also reducing the duplication of efforts for agencies, as Anne mentioned, by having all the data being asked at the enterprise level in one place. We also wanted to provide information for agencies to produce a range of measures to get a full picture and a full story of their programs. As mentioned, we have a wide variety of business needs across the enterprise. So we incorporated a lot of examples on, deciding what to measure, how many measures we should have in order to cover just the wide range of portfolios we have, and how we know which measures to report. The Office of Equity, I saw ALIS earlier, shout out to ALIS. They were a huge partner in the creation of this guide to also provide information on creating equity-focused measures and to ensure we're building equitable measures into the development process from the beginning. We tried to balance the need for stability over time while remaining flexible with the types of things agencies can report, because we all know, conditions within the state can change, legislatively mandated needs change over time, and requirements can change. So being flexible was definitely key for us. And lastly, we wanted to emphasize that we want to use performance measures to start conversations and not finish them. Sometimes performance measures don't give us all the information we need, and we want to convey that the key to understanding how much we're doing, how well we're doing, and knowing if anyone's better off is by having those honest and sometimes hard conversations around what the data is conveying. It's not about punishment, but it's about collaborating with one another to problem solve so we can continually improve for those we serve. So we're currently in the final review stages of the guide, and got some really great feedback from just some stakeholders and partnering organizations. So working towards publication, but we'll have a link to share soon on that. So really excited about that. All right. And with that, we want to hear from you. I absolutely love this graphic that I believe Anne chose. It's just a few folks sitting around the conference table looking at some survey results. And 99.8% of people said they love responding to surveys, which doesn't give us much information, but we're hoping that we can obtain some information from you through a Mentimeter exercise just to help us determine as a team how we can continue to provide best resources, tools, practices, and learning experiences across the enterprise as we continue to build. So let me present my screen here. All right, hopefully that's coming up okay. All right, and with that, if you haven't mentied before, welcome. I absolutely love this tool. Here are a couple instructions for you all to participate if you would like. Even if you are a private sector organization or agency, we'd still love your feedback. So if you want to open a web browser on your computer or even your cell phone, if you go to www.menti.com and enter code 9104474 and select join, you can anonymously share your thoughts and your feedback with us, and we would super appreciate that. I'll give everyone a moment to just sign in. If you want to hit that heart, it looks like we have a few folks joined. Let us know you're in, and we can go to the next question. And I will just type that into our chat here. Make sure that you all have it in the chat as well. That's www.menti.com. Code is 9104474.
Teresa, while folks are doing that, you did have a question in the chat. I don't know to address that, but it says, I have attended meetings where performance measures are the steps to be taken, not the ways that results are measured. Does the guide clarify this ambiguity?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Let me just make sure I'm reading that correctly. Ooh, I think I might have lost the chat.
I've got it up, Teresa, if you
Oh,
want me
sure.
to
Yeah,
talk
Rachel,
about it
if
a
you
little
want
bit
to
while
go
you're
ahead.
doing the Mentimeter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a great point. And we are hoping the guide will make it clear. For our purposes, so one of the things we tried to do in this guide is use plain language as much as possible. In our experience, a lot of time is spent talking about definitions and categorizing performance measures. And that can be really helpful to make sure everyone's on the same page. It can also sort of keep us getting to the more important work of actually talking about the results and what we're trying to achieve. So we tried to keep it plain language. We do have a glossary in the appendix to try and sort out some of the terms and what we mean when we talk about things. But to answer your question specifically, I think for our purposes, and this could differ from how agencies do things internally, for our purposes, we consider a performance measure anything that you need to be able to communicate how it's going and what your needs are, and what progress you've made and what barriers there are. So if you have strategic goals where it's important to be tracking the steps that are taken, that might need to be reported if it's important for you to be able to communicate. Ultimately, what we care about are the results, right? Like Teresa said, is anyone better off? That is our ultimate goal. But we do sometimes need measures of our work that we're doing earlier on in the chain. So that we can help sort out if we're not getting the performance we expected, what the cause is and how to fix it. So that was a long way of saying yes, and we might still want those steps depending on what you all feel your agency needs to be able to share.
Awesome. Thank you. And Teresa, we're getting quite a bit of questions about the Mentimeter.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to pause to make sure that question was addressed, but we'll move on. It looks like thank you, Rachel. We have about 56 folks in the Menti, so let's go ahead. You can join at any time. So the first question, do you have a performance management role at your agency? So a couple options that you'll see here, if you have a direct role in developing or reporting measures, if you work closely with those who do, if you're not closely connected with developing or reporting measures, or you're just not aware of this role existing in your agency. We just really want to kind of gauge our COP here to see if there may be a little bit of crossover there, and also to kind of help tailor some of our resources that we'll be providing. So it looks like we have, okay, a majority of folks, 24, 25 so far, 27 have a direct role, which is great to hear. And a lot of people who actually work closely with developing or reporting measures. So that's great. That's great to hear. Perfect. All right, feel free to respond to that on your device. Next question here, how satisfied are you with your agency's current performance measures? And even if you don't have a direct role in developing these measures, just as an agency member, we're just curious what you're thinking about your current measures. Dissatisfied, neutral, that could just be, you don't understand, what your agency is currently measuring. You might be aware of them, but you might feel neither here nor there. Not aware of what your measures are. I know with our statewide employee engagement survey, one of the questions that we usually have is, we're familiar with how our agency measures success, and sometimes, as just an employee in the everyday grind, we just might not be aware. Or you just might be satisfied with your agency's measures, which is great too. So it looks like most people are just kind of neutral right now, which is totally fine. And then we have about 17 folks who responded that they're dissatisfied with their measures, but that's great. Thank you so much for your feedback. Like I said, we gotta know what's going on now so we can just work to continually improve. So thank you. All right. Which of these do you think would be helpful topics for your agency within a community of practice on evidence-based decision making? And kind of talked about this earlier in the presentation that we're exploring a performance management community of practice. Just trying to gauge maybe some topics that folks would be interested in learning more about. Methods for developing performance measures, more technical discussions on data, learning how other agencies incorporate measures into their decision-making, group problem-solving sessions, and hearing from subject matter experts on various related topic areas, kind of like our COP here. So looks like most people are interested in methods for developing performance measures, followed by just learning how other agencies are incorporating measures into decision-making. Very good. All righty. I think this is the last question, open-ended response. What other support or resources would help your agency with performance management? Let us know what type of tools or support that our team could be providing you all on your performance management journey. So templates, awesome. Great. So we have some examples, maybe some performance measures examples, connecting high-level agency measures with internal process improvement efforts. That's a great one. Meeting with other similar agencies and sharing knowledge and tools. Yeah, absolutely. Common language. Yep. And that's one of the things we're hoping our guide can help with, because we know there's various, terminology and ways to use them. Some communication on current activities, more effective leadership training all around, comparative benchmarks, examples of success and tools and resources, best practices, data sources, and other measures. Yeah, templates, leaders embracing concept of performance measurement. So Yeah, love this. Keep them coming. Absolutely. We will definitely be using this feedback as we continue to kind of plan and explore this community of practice and making sure that we're presenting information and things that will be helpful for you all. So that is our last question. Feel free to continue answering this. We'll make sure to save this with our final presentation on the website so folks can also refer back to it. So let me stop sharing. And looks like Megan, you have your hand up. You have a question or comment?
Yeah, I put a question in the chat a bit ago and just sort of wondering if you could center us around um, kind of the intent behind who the primary audience is for this new RPM and how you expect agencies to kind of use it once that initial set of work is done, creating some performance measures to enter into it. Like, how do you feel like agencies should interact with this at the end of the day?
Do you want to take that, Teresa, or do you want me to?
Oh, go for it, Rach.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you. That was a really good question. I think the primary audience would be the folks, whoever in each agency is responsible for developing and then reporting performance measures. So we know from talking with folks that in some agencies that might be your deputy director. In other agencies, you might have a whole team dedicated to doing that work, or you might have someone within each division. Or you might have folks in each division and then also someone at the top. So it's really going to vary. And that's one of the reasons we tried to make it so open and flexible, because some of the folks reading it are experts and have developed lots of measures, and it might just be a matter of picking which ones you think should get reported at the statewide level. Other folks might be starting from the beginning. So we tried to make it written for as wide an audience as possible. And we know that, especially for those of you who have been doing this for years, it might feel a little less detailed or technical than folks would like. But that's because we were trying to work with everyone. And as far as how folks should interact with it, Teresa is going to be working with agencies in waves over the next year, probably. So we're going to be starting with those who we partnered with in the development and testing it out on ourselves first, see if we can use it to get our own measures, and then sort of iterating as we go. And then we'll work with another small group of agencies. So there's no pressure to take this and change practices immediately once it's published. We just want to get it out there, and then we'll start working with folks slowly over time to get it right. I hope that answers.
It answers it a little bit. I sort of feel free to push back if I interpreted incorrectly, but it almost sounded like what you were describing was the sort of performance manager folks in agencies are the primary users or who actually enter in this information. I guess I just want to clarify at the end of the day, is this information going to be available just within the state government network? Is it going to be, part of conversations with our future governor? Like, I sort of anticipate that this could be really great information, about all of our state agencies. And so I was just curious if you could expand on like, who's going to see all this cool stuff? You know what I'm saying? Like, it can't just
Yes.
be just the people entering the data
Okay.
into it. Does that make
Got it.
sense?
Yes, thank you. That helps. Yeah, so the guide itself is going to be published on our website and on OFM's website and incorporated into the budget discussions. The measures that are reported in RPM, one of the reasons we're sticking with RPM in the short term, despite some of the user issues, is because of that connection on the back end with the budget process. And so the goal, part of the goal, or the ultimate goal, like I think Narissa started at the beginning talking about connecting the performance measures with decision making in the budget and policy offices. So by using RPM, we're going to be able to make sure that the measures are there when budget discussions happen. And then we're also going to be working with the governor's policy shop and making sure that the information is available to them when they are making policy decisions as well. So the goal is to get the information entered so that it is then available So yeah, you're right. The audience is much broader than just agency staff entering the information because they already had the information.
Yeah, like this is my world. It's all good. Thank you so much for clarifying, Rachel. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you, Megan. I kind of jumped the gun, but Rachel, if there's anything else you wanted to include on our closeout.
No, I really appreciate everyone taking the time to be a part of this with us. And we'd love to hear from you if you have more questions or comments or feedback. Please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rachel and team, for that great overview. For the folks that are not with results, it's been a long time in the works and a lot of work that has gone into everything that they just shared. So we're excited to give this update. So thank you all again for that. All right. So now moving on to our next segment, I would love to introduce Sreenath Gangula with the Department of Transportation, and he is presenting on the Gray Notebook. Hey, Sreenath. Welcome.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so
There we go. Got your slides.
awesome. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share WashDot's Grey Notebook story, a journey of continuous improvement. So my name is Sreenath Gangula, Assistant Director of Performance Management. With me today is Joe Irwin, Performance Reporting Manager, who will be managing the chat. And he's the guy for the Grey Notebook. It's his baby. So ask him any questions you have. He's ready to answer. Grey Notebook origins, and the media and the public conference. So our first Grey Notebook was before called as measures, markers, and mileposts. And we have renamed that later in the process as the Grey Notebook because it was tongue twister to say that 3 words, But it was an involuntary, so I should say, it was a voluntary effort by WashDOT in response to media's preoccupation with the state's transportation crisis. This is dating back to late 90s and early 2000s. So there were some serious concerns being voiced by the Blue Ribbon Commission and the governor's office about departmental inefficiencies and lack of accountability. And the 1999 voter-initiated repeal of the motor vehicle excess tax, called MVET tax, also called as Initiative 695, which caused a 30% revenue cut from WashDOT's capital and asset budgets, which was a huge hit for us. And also there was a need to obtain a critically required revenue after a 10-year no new revenue drought, which caused large transportation and infrastructure backlogs in the agency. So that's our impetus on why we went on this journey. And we started small. The first edition was 9 pages and briefly touched on topics like worker safety, highway construction program delivery, and project activities. It wasn't much, but it was something. By the end of 2001, so the first report was published in, like it says on the screen, March of 2001. By the end of the year, the report, which is a quarterly report, by the way, was 34 pages. It was more robust and covered issues ranging from highway safety, maintenance, pavement, and bridge conditions. Now on to the need for accountability, right? So accountability, credibility, and transparency. The legislators cited the Grey Notebook as evidence that WashDOT was accountable and credible when approving the transportation funding packages, including the 2003 nickel, which is a 5-cent gas tax that brought in $4.2 billion package over 10 years, and the 2005 TPA, Transportation Partnership Account, 9.5-cent gas tax that brought in $8.5 billion package over 16 years. These 2 packages and our commitment for performance analysis, reporting, and communication has laid the ground for 2015 Connecting Washington package, which is $16 billion over 16 years, and the most recent 2022 move ahead Washington funding package that is going to bring in 17 billion for 16 years. So Watchdog continues to show that through Gray Notebook's accountability, credibility, and transparency, the agency can make a solid case for funding and clearly demonstrate not only the need, but how taxpayer dollars are spent. We also are committed to incorporate best management practices, conduct sound strategic and business planning, use vetted data and program performance to meet and exceed public and political expectations. So Gray Notebook as gold standard. In 2012, Governing Magazine wrote an article calling the Gray Notebook the gold standard of performance reporting. The article noted, and I quote, as Washington State's experience is showing, doing the right thing by being transparent about performance can be a win-win. Making investments based on objective data, showing that an agency is using public money efficiently is how democratic government is supposed to work. So in 2016, our office earned the Extra Mile Award for state service. The award pointed out how our work with the Gray Notebook helps ensure Watchdog's optimum performance. The award also noted that how the GNB, the Gray Notebook is called GNB, and the Former Corridor Capacity Report support Watchdog's ability to provide a transportation system that reduces delay and risk while increasing safety. So this is an evolution slide. The Gray Notebook was a print publication for nearly 2 decades. Over time, an online PDF counterpart was developed as well, while our office used whatever methods available to make both the print and the PDF, online PDF, as usable as possible. The format itself was challenging. In addition to the formatting challenges, there were other challenges as well that needs to be resolved and evolved out of to make a shift that we need in how our office and Watchdog programs viewed the Gray Notebook. The journey of continuous improvement. So with this analysis in mind, we surveyed the programs that work with the GNB in 2016 to determine where and how the publication was being used. This survey actually confirmed that while the GNB was serving multiple purposes for Watchdog, our office needed to refocus on cooperating and collaborating with the reporting programs to ensure continuous improvement. So that's where we evolved into program-centric approach. So we started strengthening this internal sense of teamwork by addressing challenges and building bridges with the programs. We improved these critical relationships by facilitating discussions and working hard to truly understand their unique performance data needs. Our office shifted from requiring specific program data to supporting program priorities and deadlines. So people don't want to be told what data they need to provide, but they would like to be asked what priorities and deadlines that their program has because they are the program SMEs, not us. So that's a critical point that needs to be noted. So that really enhanced the overall collaboration by agreeing to additional flexibility in content and data deadlines, which led to increased program involvement in the GNB. So in the next series of slides, we see what are some of the improvements that we have made in the Gray Notebook itself in order to make it much more readable and address the needs of the programs. So we have made full page photos on the cover. You have seen that in the previous slide where it went from black and white to all the way to a magazine style cover photo. And we added quick view notable results on the information boxes as shown on the slide here. And one of the most challenging things that we did was to reduce the size of the quarterly publication from almost 140 pages at times to 50 pages or less. That was a huge challenge, but we did it. And we also worked with the Watchdog graphics team and implemented an agency-wide color scale that can be used for color and black and white charts I think this particular color scheme is still in use at the agency. More improvements. We also enhanced navigation in the online PDF GNB, adhere to watchdog communication standards for ADA accessibility. And after all these improvements, we still continue to find that the capabilities of the PDF were limited in both print and online versions. A little bit about the PDF limitations. PDF has space limitations that hinder the inclusion of charts, maps, and text. Adding new content sometimes necessitates rearranging entire articles. That becomes resource intensive. Finding information is also difficult due to inconsistent layouts and limited searchability. And on top of that, post-publication edits are possible in the PDF, but not in the print, leading to inconsistencies between the two versions that we have. So reading PDFs on smartphones is also impractical, if you haven't already noticed that. So while continuous improvement were going according to plan, something happened in late 2019 that no one saw coming and no one planned for, the COVID-19 pandemic. In early 2020, Governor Jay Inslee's state of emergency declaration prompted Watchdog to track daily pandemic impacts on travel. Our office's groundwork for transitioning from print PDF publications to dashboard helped facilitate a rapid response to COVID data tracking. Our office provided daily COVID-19 transportation updates via dashboard. So being able to create this dashboard quickly and provide updates regularly earned our office its second Extra Mile Award recognition. The work helped pave the way for further innovations like the multimodal mobility dashboard. So while our office wasn't yet ready to tackle the GNB, we successfully transitioned the corridor capacity report, which was actually a spin-off of the Gray Notebook. So corridor capacity report prior to that was called as congestion report. Used to be an article in the Gray Notebook up until 2007, 2009 timeframe, 2007. So in 2007, it got spun off into its own report called the congestion report, and then it evolved into corridor capacity report in 2013 because that focus on that was specifically on mobility side of the business. So this particular corridor capacity report is something that used to be in a PDF format as well, similar to GNB, but we successfully transitioned that into a current interactive version. And so on the screen, this is the dashboard landing page for the multimodal mobility dashboard. Through this transition, we learned lessons that became invaluable as we approached the transition of GNB to its new online format. In addition to applying our lessons learned from the MMD transition, we knew that restructuring the GNB was an opportunity to address long-standing issues. The team underwent extensive training to master new production software for chart creation, data entry, and text editing to make this happen. Our team did extensive research on how best to transition from written to online interactive reports. We worked with the Texas Transportation Institute to determine how to best transition a PDF report to an online interactive analysis of statewide transportation. TTI's findings and guidelines helped validate the work that we had accomplished and led to new discussions on how we could continue to improve our products. This particular report, by the way, should be available on Watchdog website under research as well. So the TTI's guide helps authors to develop and write reports for interactive online space. So it ensures how to be Section 508 accessibility compliance for dashboards and interactive tools, and also informs users how to curate a digital archive for public record and disclosure. So transitioning the GNB, you need to learn new tricks of the trade. So what 5 people have accomplished is we learned new software, Tableau and HTML to develop web pages and charts, sorted all articles by subject area, reformatted and renamed article subtopics, which are now displayed in easy to find tabs, and found a way to show 5 years of all data for all articles in one place. You think about a paper publication or a PDF online publication, it is not easy to accommodate 5 years of data in one place. So this online tool actually makes it really possible to not only do 5 years, if we choose to do more, we can do that as well. So using Tableau, we rebuilt, rethought, and successfully recreated every single chart and graph in the GNB. We started by creating interactive versions of what we had in the PDF version of the GNB, and then used Tableau to expand on this idea. In short, we quickly discovered new and better ways of showing program data. We continue to find new opportunities to improve as we work with the programs and analyze the GNB offerings. Interactive GNB is truly adaptive. After more than a year of new format, feedback has been overwhelmingly positive. So programs we work with here at Watchdot are excited how their information is being shown and love the options that now they have available to them. In the past, discussions to expand reporting would typically end up with GNB just not having enough room. The new format has allowed us to expand where needed, use vetted data, and delve deeper than statewide trends. Where applicable, programs can now show maps and trends based on Watchdot's 6 regions. This just wasn't a realistic option before due to space constraints. The interactive GNB is more user-friendly as well. So an Assistant Secretary, Engineering and Regional Operations called us soon after the data analysis for pavement was completed last year with concerns. So the statewide data wasn't telling the whole story because the pavement in 2 of the Watchdot 6 regions, specifically the Eastern region and the North Central region, were in very bad shape. We worked with the program and obtained the latest data showing regional pavement due and past due for preservation projects. We then developed the charts and text to explain this data and the regional performance trend in the GNB for the very first time. The new format has opened up the doors for continuous improvement. So we are able to accommodate off-cycle changes as needed. One Watchdot program who made a late change request noted that they had received input from certain regions for the very first time because the new GNB format was so much easier to read and navigate. So that's very positive. But the biggest bonus, the biggest benefit is that this format truly and unquestionably saves people time. So GNB provides vital data for state of transportation. It shows the alignment with the federal, state, and local reporting. So we are in alignment with state of transportation, data requirements with Watchdot strategic plan requirements, and our GNB is laid out along statewide transportation policy goals, and also the Gray Notebook directly feeds the biennial transportation attainment report. And GNB is a proven source for governor's office and other states, helping to facilitate data exchanges and idea sharing. And here we are at Results Washington right now. And the GNB team members, we also assist Public Transportation Division in transitioning to a smart online publication integrated with the multimodal mobility dashboard. So our team creates transportation performance management folios for sharing with our partners. We closely collaborate with SMEs and effectively communicate updates to our MPO, RTPOs. Our work has been so successful that Oregon requested to replicate word for word the folio we produced on greenhouse gas emissions. So what's next for the GNB? Our office embraces continuous improvement for processes and products. So looking into integrating risk and strategic aspects into performance analysis, which will help provide a more comprehensive look at programs' present and future status. One of the lofty ideas is to achieve data governance in the agency. Through this standardized data governance, we can automate a performance dashboard to be near real time and provide data transparency to decision makers. This would also help take into account the program risk elements into the performance management as well. So we are only able to touch on some of the highlights of the improvements made over the years. This has been a 24-year journey of continuous improvement. So if anyone has any questions or additional follow-ups later that they think of, can reach out to me or Joe. And I really thank you for the opportunity to share our story today.
Thank you, Sreenath. Oh my goodness. I don't know about anybody else, but I'm a visual management enthusiast. I know nothing about DOT, but now suddenly I want to know all things DOT. I just want to go look through that. What a makeover and transformation. That is amazing.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Am I the only one feeling like that? Is there anyone else in the audience right now that feels that that contrast was so amazing? Throw up a reaction if you're on the same page with me. I'm just in awe of it. So much great work done, you guys. Good job. We're getting a lot of comments in the chat. Does anybody want to come off mic? Feel free, and if you want to voice your comments, you can. I'll give it a moment before I start reading these so you don't have to hear my voice. Yeah, I'm seeing nice story of persistence and continuous improvement. Folks love the interactiveness and the ease to find the type of information that you're looking for. Great work on this upgrade. Excellent work and improvements. Love that you're focused on customer needs and business storytelling with your efforts. Absolutely. Yeah, does anyone have any questions? I would imagine that this serves as just such an inspirational example of how to take something that, is so non-engaging, and then really make it beautiful to where people actually want to read it. It's digestible, it's comprehensive. And I would imagine somebody might know something out there of something similar at their job that they really just have some ideas to improve. Does anyone have any experience like that, or maybe you're going through something, or maybe this is inspirational and you have a question on how to get started? I don't know. This is exciting to me. Oh, we got a question from Stephanie. Will the next step then map out employee safety incidents?
Yes, we currently already do a lot of communication through mapping when it comes to various data points that we have in different areas. For example, if you're looking at multimodal mobility dashboard, we have used mapping functionality as well, in addition to the tables, charts, and graphs to show where for example, the corridor exists, or how do you translate what you're seeing visually to a location-based aspect. So, I mean, mapping regarding the employee instance is something I see Joe has shared. It's right there.
Wonderful.
Something
Joe's
that we do.
Thank you. And then Megan also asks, I apologize if you've already covered it, but have your efforts resulted in less maintenance work over time, less manual updates, more automation?
Yes. So if you imagine back in 2001 when we started, I think we didn't know what we were doing, right? We wanted to do something. We wanted to up our accountability, credibility, and transparency for the agency. And we started small, and it was a lot of manual work then, because none of the systems were existing or automated at that time. We had to reach out to the program because the program held the data. They only had the data. Everybody else had to fill in the gaps because they don't know what's going on in that particular area or the program. So it was a lot of manual effort then. And when you look at the evolution, it has been much more automated and whatnot. the place where we are right now, I wouldn't say it is 100% automated. We have a method to our madness though, that how the data comes and we process it and we translate that into information and storytelling. But still, like I said covered in the last slide, we wanted to be able to be in a position where it's all data governance, it's all integrated, so that it's almost like near to live feed. We are not there yet, but we are much more automated than where we were before.
Awesome. And I'm hearing the key word yet. So you're still striving.
Yes, we never stop. If you know our bunch, we don't stop. We're
Yeah,
always
it looked like it. I mean, those examples you showed just keep on getting better, all those different iterations. So that's awesome. I hope I'm saying your name right, Mallory. Any best practices for keeping data up to date without real-time database? Asking for a friend.
Yes, so basically it's a two-way street between you and your program SMEs. So you have the best data only if your program SMEs can provide you that. And if the SMEs have a good structure, if you can help them have a good structure that is at least automated to a certain extent, so that we are getting new and improved information every time that we are requesting them for information, I think would really help this go a long ways. Because
Nice.
your SMEs are your strength. Always remember this. Your SMEs are your strength. Your partners are your strength. And I'm going to repeat this again because this is very important, I feel. You are not the SME. Your facilitating SMEs tell their story. Because the minute you think you are SMEs, you're losing that connection and they're not going to tell you anything. You want to learn.
I'm writing that down. That's a good one. Thank you. You know, I noticed early in your presentation, you were saying, and as these changes started to happen, there was more trust for DOT and then funding followed. So just out of curiosity, I've noticed, I want to say like in the past couple of years, DOT has been hiring a lot. So did this, is that like a result of the funding that came from this? Was it like also helping in the sense of you being able to hire more employees?
So the one thing that I would say is that, I mean, we cannot draw a direct correlation to this work, even though it is critical. I say that because without the accountability, credibility, and transparency that this kind of analysis, performance management, and reporting provides, the legislators or the whoever in power is not going to have that confidence to give that kind of responsibility in terms of funding, right? So it's not just the performance management, it's also our executive team who are relentless in pursuing opportunities to make our system better as well. So it's a combination. I cannot take all the credit, but it is critical to have that in place to give that confidence.
Thank you for that and your modesty. I can't help but to draw some correlation to it. But that's awesome. Thank you. All right. Any other questions? This has been a wonderful presentation, and I'm not joking. I really do want to go back and go click on some of those links that Joe shared and really look at that, because that's just interesting. It really just changes. And you have something over here that looks like stereo instruction, and then you have something over here with all these charts, these Tableau charts and different kind of graphs and colors, and it just like makes it pop in a way to where, okay, I understand this stuff. I don't work in this field. I don't know a lot about it, but it's easy to understand. And now it's something that you're, mindful of. Let's see. Can this be done in Power BI? Someone asks, since licenses for Tableau can be a bit pricey.
Yes, it can be. So our journey started back, I would say probably 17, 18, 19 time frame. And our expert in this data, in data visualization, Taka Hideyasu, he was researching, I said the name, but don't steal him from us, okay? So he was doing a lot of research on what would be a good and efficient platform for us to do this. And he has researched several visualization softwares at the time. So when I say at the time, it has been probably 5-6 years, right? So at the time, Tableau was the one that was really a standout when it comes to the capabilities that it had compared to Power BI. And I'm sure Power BI has caught up and is equally as good, but we have our system established in Tableau. So we are running with it for now until our IT folks says no more.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, wonderful thing that you all have a license for Tableau because that's really done some great things over there. Megan says, very inspiring. I'm leading a website redesign effort right now, so it's great to see how other agencies are approaching similar work. Exactly. And that's another good example of how to use this, because how often do we as an agency need a website redesign? I think that's quite a few of us, even if we're not doing it actively now, it's something that should be in the works. So great inspiration. Okay.